let's talk about a pre-flight. You've got a card in here that has all the items to check. Starts out with rudder pedals and control cables. And so the rudder pedals are pretty good. Connection here. You follow these cables back down behind the seats and make sure that there's no obstruction, nothing rubbing up against them too much. And so that's the rudder pedals and control cables. I'm going to check the stick for clear, free and correct movement. Now that it's unfolded, I can get full authority on it. And the linkage down here, it's got a AM nut on the other side, and you want to check back here. You can see the elevator operation. It's got a bell crank there. I'm going to just check that the nuts down here are in place for those cables. And this one is safety pin. So that looks good. I'm going to check, make sure that the throttle operation is good. And over here is the trim actuator. I usually take off with about 4 notches of nose up trim. That takes the weight off the nose a bit. If you're flying a heavier load, you might want to use another notch, but 4 notches usually works well for me. And I use no trim at all when I'm in landing. So then we move to the left wheel, tire, and brake. But before I do that, I check the main spar pin, which you can see right here. Make sure that that clip is in. And then I check the clip on the connector, the lower connection for the lift strut. Make sure that's in. And I just want to make sure that the brake has a little bit of movement so it can travel. And also check the outside, make sure that our cotter key is in. So the wheel is nice and snug. And Steve just bumped his head. Okay, and I also want to check the pin and the clip on the upper connection of the lift strut. And of course, move the edge of the wing, walk around, trip over that. Operate the ailerons. Make sure they go in the opposite direction from each other. And this is a compensator. Keeps kind of steadies the pressure on the aileron. I want to make sure it's got an eye bolt here. I want to make sure that that's nice and solid. Obviously, just like any other plane, you're going to check the piano hinges on the roof. Make sure that the keeper pin isn't come off one of those. I'll come around here. And I'm looking for pins and safety clips on the aileron and the flap actuator rods. Make sure they're in place. I double check my spring hook up here, and then I take a look at the engine. I always push the connectors onto the spark plugs. I've just replaced all of these. It's had a new oil change. All the fuel lines have been replaced with alcohol-resistant lines, and the coolant hoses were just replaced. Here's something else to check. These springs keep the muffler, the resonator, in a full forward position because it's meant to slide back and forth. So if there are pulses on the engine, it moves a little bit. These are stainless steel springs. I used to use the regular springs and they would break on me regularly. I put a little high temperature hoop on these to reduce any vibration that they might get and make them last longer. But since I've had these stainless steel springs on, I haven't had any failures there. I'm going to be checking my choke and my throttle cables, and I put new springs on the carburetor, return springs for the throttle and the choke, and this kind of keeps everything stable on the carburetor. So I'm making sure that my air filters are nice and solid on there. They've been recently oiled, so you may see a little bit of residue from that as it flies. Looking at the connection on the radiator, upper and lower. I'm moving back and checking my fuel filters. This one is for the mechanical pump, and this is for the electric pump. I'm looking back here, make sure my fuel lines are connected strong. This is the oil cooler. I'm going to check it for leaks and make sure that its connection is nice and solid. These lowered mounts, it's not a bad idea to give you a little up and down on the exhaust system to make sure that these cushion mounts are not deteriorating. As I come around to this side, the prop is a composite Ivo 72-inch prop. It has these tapes on it on the leading edge to protect it from rain and bugs and stuff like that. These stainless steel tapes, there's some spares included in the kit. Once in a while, one will start to lift up a little bit, and you simply take pliers and peel them off, clean it up with MEK to remove the residue, and then form a new one on there. And there's a YouTube video for Ivo that shows the procedure for doing that. And then I run a little bead of super glue around the edges to seal it after the self-adhesive strip has been pressed in place. And that tends to make it last longer. You'll notice on the prop, I've got these little strips of thin stainless steel, same material that the leading edge tapes are made out of. And Ivo recommends that in case there's any harmonics in the propeller, that'll be indicated. It'll show up first with these tapes breaking. I've had them on for years and never had anything indicating a problem. After a while, the edge of the tape will lift up a little bit, and then I just replace them with a little strip of that stuff. And there's some spare tape material in your kit. Coming over here, I'm looking for any drips that might be underneath the oil filter. This is my oil pressure, my oil breather valve tube. And I'm basically checking everything on this side that I was checking on the other side. For anybody who's familiar with the Rotex engine, the four-stroke, you'll understand that this is the reservoir. We remove this cap, hold it in your hand while checking the oil, or put it on the pilot's seat so you won't leave it off when you go flying. And the dipstick is in here. It's centered on a little channel in there and got to go right in order to go all the way down. I'm looking also for connections, any possible leaks around the oil in and out lines. But in order to check the oil on here, first you have to rotate the prop 10-15 times until you hear air burping in the reservoir tank with the lid off. And that'll tell you it's moved all the way from the crankcase into this reservoir, which will give you a true reading on the oil. So I'm checking also the spring on this side. I'm looking at my retainer clips on the aileron and flaps. Now I'm going to move back and check out the tail. The forward connection for the horizontal stabilizer is a bolt, and there's room for the actual mechanism to slide forward and back a little bit as the rudder goes up and down. So I usually keep a little oil on that. I'll check the connections here. It's not a bad idea to take an oil soak rag from time to time and run up and down this cable in order to preserve them. But I usually run a rag up there and down to check for any frayed wires. That saves me a cut if I find any. I haven't ever found any. So I'm checking also my rudder connection, the bolt for the rudder and the back of the horizontal stabilizer, and the nuts on the bell crank. You can see the nuts are on the other side, so I have to check that from the other side of the rudder. I'm also doing the same inspection of the lower cable. I'm going to make another check of this safety clip where I connected the cable underneath. From here you can see the nuts on the bell crank for the elevator. And that cable looks good. It looks like it's twisted. Same thing here. This is in good shape. I'm going to continue my walk around and do the same thing on this side, checking my piano hinges. Checking to make sure that this weight compensator on the aileron is connected. It's never shown any tendency to loosen up. Looking at my leading edge, here you can see the vortex generators. I think I lowered my stall speed by about 5 knots by installing these here and on the horizontal stabilizer. Again, looking at the pin and the connector on the lift strut, cotter key on the wheel. I run about 20 pounds of pressure in here. If I was landing on grass all the time, I'd maybe even put 15. But on on hard pavement where I usually take off from, I put around 20, maybe even a couple extra times in there. These are your brake lines, looking for no leaks and good connections there. A lift strut pin here and clip, and up here my main spar clip is in good shape. This is our flap actuator. Okay. And finally I just come around the front, make sure that I've taken off the remove before flight piece of work on the detail. And I'm pretty well ready to go. Just one word of caution, don't pull the red handle. One of the things, part of the pre-flight is removing this pin. So in case you have to pull the red handle, it will come out. It comes out about 5 inches, so it's not just, you don't have to worry if you catch it a little bit on your leg. It's not there here. You have to give it a pull about to like this. But if you ever get in a situation where you lost an engine and you're over unlandable terrain, or if you have some kind of a mid-air or structural failure, you need to turn off the mags before you pull this, because with the pitching and rolling underneath the parachute, it's possible that a spinning prop could cut the parachute line. So the parachute guys say turn this off before you deploy the chute, and you're good to go. So that's pretty much the pre-flight walk around. What we'll do is we'll pull it out and we'll do starting procedure. And so let's pause until we're ready.